Okay, I think we're live. Let me double check. Ah, my audio. Hold on. I'm missing my mic. I mean, it's probably working. It's just behind the easel, which is not ideal. Let's see if that works better. I have a feeling I'm missing many things. Okay, let me check volume. Yep, there we go. And now I can mute myself because I definitely don't want to listen to me. Okay, let me go ahead and refresh this really quick. Oh, I can see my dog bed in the background. Not my dog bed, it's my dog's dog bed. I don't sleep on it. Okay, I'm pretty sure I am missing, like, things are, I don't know what I did wrong with my setup tonight, but I don't have a place for my mouse. Well, I kind of do, but it's not practical. Okay. Audio slab, everything's good. Okay, welcome everybody. Tonight I'm working in acrylics. This one is on a Frederick's Nature Core paint board. Just for transparency, I'm sponsored by Frederick's. Super smooth, so it's going to be really easy to get all of this nice detail in here. I may have bought this canvas myself though, because there were several of these I bought years ago, so I'm just kind of using some of these up. Okay, so let's go ahead. Oh, I did not clean that. I guess that should be done. Where is my paint scraper? Come on. My paint scraper doesn't want to lock. Whatever. Oh, this is actually still really wet from last night. I love this palette so much. And all the supplies that I'm using tonight are linked in the video description. Or at least most of them. I don't know. I forget sometimes. I'm going to have a hard time. Tonight my camera is on the laptop because I'm using the one for the palette. And I'm going to keep looking at the wrong place when I talk to you guys. It's already a struggle. Just scrape some of that away. Okay. Try to wipe that off. That is like really dirty. I got paint all over that since it was wet. Jack said, when can we expect Faber-Castell watercolor pencils video? Planning to buy them based on your review. Well, I can tell you can go ahead and get them. They're amazing. I haven't done the review because I was doing the one for them, but then somebody else is taking over the position of the person I was in contact with. I don't even know if they're going to use these videos I made for them. I mean, obviously I get to keep the supplies for it, but I don't know what they're planning to do because the initial video was supposed to be through them, but I'm going to go ahead. I was doing also a comparison of them with polychromos so people can understand the difference. Moral of that story, I don't know. That should be one of my next videos. Like, I should actually start working on that soon. Very soon. Thank you for reminding me. Solar Sun says Lisa's clean up all paints. Not gouache. I don't use gouache. Well, I guess kind of I do if I use Caran d'Ache watercolor pencils. Those are more gouache-like. Heather said, is that why you're blurry? Probably, yeah. It's a laptop camera, so yeah. You know what, though? I'm not going to complain about a camera making me blurry. It makes me look younger. Smooths out the wrinkles. It's amazing. On accident. What kind of palette is that? This is a glass palette. It is a New Wave glass palette that I have sitting inside of a Masterson. Hold on. What does it say? It is a Masterson palette, which is kind of like a big Tupperware. The links are in the description. Amazing combination. And this one, it fits perfectly inside of it. So like I was painting last night, all this paint is still wet. Even the paint that was in the center was still wet. And what I do is I take a paper towel and I get it wet. I just use my old palette water, get it wet, and I let it set in there when I seal it off. So it keeps everything from drying out. And I've opened this after it's been sitting like this for weeks and the paint's still perfectly good. Like usually the inside areas where it's all thin, that'll dry out. But the big globs of paint, that stays good for a really long time. So really good if you're looking for something to get your paints, your acrylic paints to last longer. Because I have a tendency, as you can see, I put out too much. You don't need this much paint out. I am wasteful apparently, except I'm also really cheap and I don't want to waste the paint. So, you know, it's a weird conflict. I can't talk. I have a really bad headache tonight, so I apologize ahead of time. It's going to be worse than normal for me to try to communicate. But this is really nice for keeping all of the paint in really good condition. Or, you know, really, well, it doesn't dry out. So that's nice. Okay. Oh, my brushes are not in the best location. Let's go ahead and get started on this guy. See if there's any questions I need to catch up on really quick. Oops, that's not the window I need. Cavium said, I've started oil painting. It's so much easier to blend. Hoping to use over some acrylic pieces when they're dry. Yeah, it really is a lot easier. Yes, on the colored pencils from Solar Sun said, love how the clownfish is out of the water, not suffocating. Well, it's a surreal piece. It's how I work. I don't make sense. We all know that. So why would my paintings make sense? So, yeah, actually, I've got it over there. This little clownfish I picked up. I'll show you guys if I can grab him. Welcome to my forehead. There we go. This little clownfish I got at an aquarium, and he's so accurate, like just proportion and everything, that he is now a model for me. So he's actually what I used because I had some dried roses I wanted to use on this one. But well, actually, I just wanted roses and I had dried ones, so they were going to work. But I just stuck him in there, took some photos, so it was really easy for me to get like the perfect angle of the clownfish that I wanted for how I wanted it positioned with the roses. So he's my buddy. I also have an eel to do the same with. Vika said, I find it hard to use Derwent watercolor pencils, like regular colored pencils. Oh yeah, they don't work. Watercolor pencils do not work at all like regular pencils, like at all. They're so different. So that'll be comparing the two, I think will help you out. Okay. I'm actually gonna paint now. I need a brush. Which one do I want to start with? So quite often you'll see me where I will paint things like a solid white and then put the detail on top. I don't really care if some of this blue shows through. It'll just look like extra detail in this, considering what I'm painting here. So I'm not going to worry about that, but I am going to add unbleached titanium white to the colors I use for my base, just because the unbleached titanium white, it's very opaque. So it's going to cover a lot of that blue. So let's just get Actually, I think I'm just going to line in some of these details first, and then I can come through and paint the other sections around that. Remember, with your paintbrushes, the harder you push, the thicker your line is. And in this case, I'm using this brush. This is a Filbert. It's a number 4 Filbert. I'm using it essentially like I would a liner brush, just because I'm not pushing very hard. Drawing is a bit inaccurate there. I'll round that off. And I will color correct all of this later, but this lets me just kind of map everything out. Let's get some highlighted sections in there. Flower Farm Artist said, I love the turtle. Where did you find the reference photo? Pixabay. This is when I painted him several times. There's a couple on there that I think all of us who need sea turtle photos have painted several times. But yeah, this one's from Pixabay. Maya said, can I ask a colored pencil question? Of course. At what point should you use a fixative? I actually don't. The only time I use a fixative on colored pencil is if I'm working on sanded paper or using powder blender, because it can be a little bit, like it'll kind of rub off like a pastel would. And they make, with powder blender, they have their own fixative. So that's the only time that I use a fixative over colored pencil. You really don't need it. And a lot of the brands, I think Faber-Castell, if I'm not wrong, I think they were one who they don't recommend using it with their product. It's not needed. So the other exception for me would be if I were using Prismacolor, which I don't use anymore, but when I did, that needs a sealer just to keep the wax bloom from continuing. Elaine said, have you ever used a black colored pencil on graphite? Also, do you have to use a fixative on the graphite you sell? You don't have to. I like to, but you don't have to. I pretty much always do. I can't think of a time that I haven't, but you don't absolutely have to. As far as the black colored pencil, I don't like layering colored pencil over graphite that much because it's slippery. Like, it doesn't stick that well. You could. There's no reason why you couldn't, as far as being archival and all of that. You don't have to worry about that. I'm not a huge fan of the look when one's layered on top of the other. What I do like, and I need to do some pieces like this, it's been way too long, but I like when parts are done in graphite and parts, like, let's say it was this painting. Maybe I did the frame, the water, everything was graphite, and then the sea turtle, all colored pencil. Like, I would do separate sections. I love that look, but that's just personal. It's not like this way is archival and the other way is not. You can absolutely layer them. It just, I don't like it myself. Elaine said, have you ever used a black... Okay, I answered that one. There we go. What paintbrush am I using? This one is by Princeton. This one actually came in one of my Smart Art boxes. It's a number 4 Filbert. It's a Taklon bristled. And I'm just not pushing very hard, and this allows me to get thinner lines. Well, here, I'm pushing a little bit harder, just lightly going over this. Now, one of the things that I like, when you use a really smooth canvas like this, or the Fredericks Blue Label, I like the, the Belgian linen canvases, you can do what in another canvas would be dry brushing, but it doesn't look like dry brushing on these because it's so smooth. With these guys, there's not a whole lot of tooth to the canvas for the brush to just be hitting the top of the tooth, because that's what causes the dry brush, is when your brush is, if you don't have a lot of paint, but you're dragging the brush so it's just barely hitting the tooth of the top, and it's only hitting those top layers. That's why you get those little dots of the previous layer showing through. I hate that look, and almost very rarely do I like the look of that. There are exceptions, but not normally. So with a smoother canvas though, you can do a dry brush technique for blending purposes or whatever, like what I'm doing here, but it doesn't look like dry brush because there's not a whole lot of tooth, which I love. Blue Tea Art said, how much water is too much water in acrylics brand heavy body? There's no too much water. It depends on what you're trying to do. There are videos out there that claim if you use water or too much water, it makes it so the paint, like, it'll peel off, and there's like these scare tactic videos. Notice the comments were turned off for that one. There's a reason for that. People were calling her out, telling her she was absolutely wrong, but she left the video up. A lot of misinformation. There's some good factual information on that video, because I think everybody has seen that one that contacts me about the questions about that. But there's, move his little leg around that way. There's a lot of misinformation. You can add all the water you want. It just depends on the effect that you're going for. Now, the more water you add, the less adhesive the paint becomes. So if I've thinned something way, way down, and I take, let's say I want to create a look where I'm scrubbing paint over, I take a wet brush or scrub paint over an area that's really light, I may scrub some of that previous layer off, but not that much. Like, that's the only negative. And then once you're done and you seal it, when it's varnished, it's not going to make a difference. Now, the type of canvas you use does make a difference as well, but you can add however much you need to get the look that you want. There's no like one right way. Let's see. Veek said, I'm debating over whether to get the Faber-Castell colored pencils. Is it worth the money? I love Faber-Castell products, so I definitely would say it's worth the money. I've never, like, I bought my initial polychromos. Trust me, I did not regret that purchase. It was like life-changing because I was so used to using pencils that were causing issues. So yeah, no, I love the Faber-Castell products. And whether you're talking about colored pencil or the watercolor pencil, yeah, I definitely think they're worth it. Pamela Green said, I was looking at the building of your house on MeWe. Do you have a finish date? They told me it would be most likely closing, like finishing and closing would be between November 15th and January 15th. I'm hoping for January because my lease isn't up till February here. That would mean less doubling up on house and rent payment. But yeah, that's when they had initially said. I just got an update from the builder today. Actually, I got several updates today. The first update was from the lender. They finally figured out, I guess, sort of what she was doing. There was some drama there last week. Or actually, it was going on for longer. I didn't realize she wasn't doing her job. She thought I hadn't sent in paperwork, but didn't bother to check with me. And it was actually a technical error on their side. I'd given them everything, but it wasn't showing. Anyway, and then she was blaming, well, I was on vacation. Yeah, that was a month ago. What about the rest of the month? Anyway, that was kind of frustrating and kind of scary when you start going, okay, do I need to start looking for another lender or what is going on here? But no, I got the final, like, we had the pre-approval, but now the approval. I don't know. Whatever. We got the loan with these people. So that came in today. And then I got the weekly update from the builder today that let us know everything that's going on. They're going to be starting shingling the roof, I think, this week. They're starting with electrical, putting the gas lines in. All of that is getting started now. So that was pretty exciting and soon. And then I get a call a little bit later from the seller guy because we were waiting on the flooring. I upgraded the floors in the bedrooms so that they match the rest of the house. The entire house, other than the bathrooms and the laundry room, they'll have a different type of tile. But the rest of the house is going to have wood look tile. So pet and artist proof, which I'm pretty excited about. So he gave me they finally got the approval on that because they don't like to put those in the bedroom. They want you to put carpet everywhere, or well, in the bedrooms anyway. So that finally came through with the total that I need to pay because you have to pay a bigger deposit for all of your upgrades. So I'm excited. That's we are finally getting somewhere on some of this stuff that seemed like we weren't getting answers. So yeah, that was fun to get those updates. But yeah, we don't, sometime between November and December, they're saying, hopefully not November. But even if it was done in November, then the first payment wouldn't be till December, but that's still 3 months of doubling up on rent and pay. So hopefully not November is the point there. Whoops, that scrolled too far. Eileen said, what do you use for blending acrylics? a paintbrush and water. If it's drying too fast, I'll use an airbrush to mist water. I don't use, like, you have those different, the slow drying mediums. I hate them. I don't know of any artist who paints how my goal is to paint or what I want mine to look like who uses slow drying mediums. I absolutely hate them. They make the paint, the textures gunky. I don't like them. Now, they may be fine for certain techniques, not for mine. Not a fan. So just water is what I'm thinning it out with. Beak said, and is polychromos the best choice? I can't say what the best is. My favorites are polychromos and luminance, which I use together. The luminance are the wax based, so you're going to get the more opaque colors. I like those for smoother blendings, or the Derwent drawing. Love those for really smooth areas. The Derwent Light Fast set are definitely one of the best now, I would say. So it's between polychromos, luminance, and Derwent Light Fast, and I can't tell you which one is going to be right for you. They're all amazing. You won't be unhappy with any of them. Conversations with Kat said, you always use gesso or a primer? No, because mine all come primered or pre-gessoed. I don't use any canvases that I have to gesso myself. Although, I guess that's not totally true. The canvases that I have that are like the convexo canvases I like so much, those ones are round, too rough, and so I'll gesso those just to smooth them out. But if you have a canvas that's like the color of the masking tape, like what is the color? It's just canvas colored. It's not white. If it's not white, it's not been primered. And, well, not totally true. Sometimes I'll primer with black. I actually have some new canvases from Frederick's that are primered with gold and pearl, so that's different. But normally, I mean, if it's not white or a color, if it's your normal, like, canvas color, that is not primered. You want to primer it because your paint will soak into it weirdly. It's not the look you want. So yes, you want to always work on a primered canvas, but I don't primer them because I buy them pre-primered. Except for the convexo canvases, just to smooth out. Tavern said, my sad self just has Crayola colored pencils. Does your blending technique with the Mona Lisa stuff work with the non-fancy pencils? They do to an extent, but you're not going to get the same results with those as you're going to get with normal pencils. However, if you're using Crayola and you're getting used to those and you get to where you're pretty good with those, once you switch to a good brand, it's going to be night and day difference. You're going to be like, it'll be really easy for you to switch, basically. So practice with whatever you have. But Crayola, remember, they're not light fast. So no matter how good, let's say you paint something, you spend 2 months on something and it is amazing, you can't sell it. It's not light fast. I mean, you can. It's just shady if you do. So that's, you're a big thing. And the color saturation is not very good on Crayola compared to some of the better brands. I would say if you're looking to save money, go with maybe the, like Marco, was it the Marco Renoir, Refine? I don't know. I can't keep them straight. The more expensive one, that one, not light fast, but they are, even though they claim excellent light fastness, they've never tested them. They're not tested. They're not light fast. But anyway, those would be better to learn on. You still wouldn't be able to sell them because they're not light fast, unless you're shady. But I don't know you.Maybe you are shady and you'll sell them anyway, and there you go. Those are a better option. But those ones are less expensive than some of the more expensive pencils. Now, I would rather somebody save up, get a 12-pack of like polychromos, and learn to use those. Learn to blend, learn to mix colors. You don't need to get the most expensive pencils to get started, but you're going to be able to learn way better on those than you are a million colors or 100 colors, whatever, of the cheap stuff. So that is definitely a better way for you to go. And you're going to learn color mixing, because that's one of the problems that a lot of people have, especially with colored pencil. They're so worried about, well, I don't know what color to use. And they kind of freeze up and don't finish things, and they think that it's all about the color. It's not. It's about your values. But you're going to learn to blend and mix colors better if you're using a small 12-pack. So that would be my recommendation. But if you've only got Crayola, I don't know if the Mona Lisa, how well it works on those. I know it works on other cheap pencils. Not positive on Crayola. Again, they don't have very good color saturation anyway, so I don't know. I mean, I honestly just don't know. But once you get to where you're serious and you're spending a lot of time, I would save up and get just a 12-pack of polychromos. It's not super, I don't know how much those ones cost actually, but I mean, it's not like you're spending the same amount as you would on a 120 set, but it's a really, really good way to get started. Way better than getting a whole bunch of a cheap set. But also, I mean, Crayola, that's what I started with too. My work wasn't amazing or anything, but that is what I started with. So use whatever you have to create art however you can. Don't feel like, well, I'm not going to draw then because all I have is Crayola. Use the Crayola. Use whatever you have available to you. That is how I started. Let's see. Maya said, be prepared to repaint your house after 2 years. The nail pops will appear and builder beige is horrid. Well, we didn't go with the builder beige. We went with a pale, pale gray, but they have a thing, the builder we're going with, after a year, or it's like 11 months usually, but you've got a year warranty on that stuff. And they said what they'll do is come through, and anywhere where like nails pop through, any of that, they come through and will repaint anything, do any repairs and repaint it. And they'll do it once, he said. So he's like, if you start seeing that happen after 3 months, don't call us then. Wait till it ends. So as much as that is going to occur will like have occurred by then. So you get the best bang for your buck, I guess. But yeah, that's something that they warned us about as it starts to settle and nails come through the wall and weird random crap. So yeah. Robert said, what's the best blender for wax-colored pencils? I like Mona Lisa odorless paint thinner, or Gamsol is my favorite. Where did this go? That just totally scrolled too far. Here we go. Pamela said, do you ever experiment with watercolor? I have some, I guess, from Smart Art Box somewhere, but I don't have like good watercolor, so I don't really play with them much other than the watercolor pencils, which I'm currently in love with. So I do need to buy some watercolors, but right now I've spent all my money on retro My Little Ponies and my house. So I'm kind of on hold on a lot of the spend. Oh, and a new phone because it's time to upgrade. So yeah, I'm kind of broke right now. By kind of, I mean, I'm really broke right now. I blame the ponies. Art Jitter said, hi, Lisa. Is there a difference in graphite powders? I'm wondering which is Lachri approved. Graphite powder should all be the same. I've honestly only used, I put it away, the Generals, but they don't make it anymore. But now there's the create a something. And they should be the same. I mean, they from what you guys have actually told me, they don't have binders in them. So you really shouldn't have a variation too much in them. I should order the other one though, just to test, but it should all be the same. Patty said, hopefully you will get loads of new stuff for the house as Christmas presents. Kind of and kind of no, because what my family would buy me as Christmas presents is not what I'm going to want in the house. And then it's just more stuff to store. I know that sounds terrible, but I kind of hate when my family buys me, like my mother-in-law does that a lot. Like we have very different tastes, and this is the problem with me with gifts. When someone gives me a gift, I will keep it forever. I can't ever get rid of it because it was a gift, and I instantly have an emotional attachment to it because I remember being given the gift and I appreciate that. But at the same time, it's not what I want on my wall or whatever. So, yeah, I'm kind of hoping not to get stuff for the house because I'm so picky on what I want for the decor and everything. Let's see. Steve Smith said, and just a reminder, you guys, make sure if I won't see your question if it's not at Lachri Fine Art, if it doesn't highlight with the orange, I don't see it. It's not intentional. And if you're having a hard time getting that done, ask a moderator or somebody to type it for you. So I'm not ignoring you. I just don't see them if they're not in orange. Steve said, I joined in late, but I'm looking at your palette and the paint on it. My problem is my paint palette often dries before I'm done with it. I don't see you wetting yours. Well, I mean, I'm getting what paint on here, but notice how I try to keep the paint as much as possible in near the big glob of paint. The glob of paint stays wet longer. Out here, this will dry off faster, and I just scrape it off and mix, more as I need to. But I don't mix big batches of paint. That's another thing. If I mix, for the background color here, I mixed a big batch of paint, but I put it in a little jar. The big batches of trying to mix the perfect color, see how I mix small amounts? Like I'm mixing these two colors, just a little bit here and there. A little bit of water is added so it'll keep wet longer. But I don't use a wet palette, like the Stay Wet palettes and all of those, because they make the paint, I don't like the texture. It kind of gunks up the paint a bit weird. I'm just not a fan. It's not an issue of, if you like it, because I know a lot of artists love it. I'm not saying it's wrong to do. I'm saying it's not my preference. But with this one, I just scrape off anything that starts to dry, and these globs stay wet for a really long time. And then when I put the lid on it, this is a wet paper towel. I change that out every couple of days so it doesn't start to stink, or grow mold or bacteria, or I don't know, whatever wet paper towels grow that smells funky. But yeah, it just stays wet. And I mean, I'm in Texas. It's humid here anyway, although the air conditioner is blowing on it, so you'd think that would dry it out, but it stays wet pretty long. Starving Artist Collective said, do you ever work on toned surfaces or always the white? Sometimes I tone it myself, and then I've got to find out from Frederick's, like, what is the point of the gold canvas? And they sent me samples. I wanted to try them, but I need to read up on what is the benefit of using those? I don't know. But if I tone it, it's usually just to create like a brownish tone, just so it's not up against straight white. But I don't do that too often. Thoughts on Faber-Castell pastel pencils? I hate pastels, so I can't give you much opinion on that. I'm sure they're amazing because I've yet to use anything from Faber-Castell other than the white pencil, but even that I found good uses for. But I've never used anything from them I didn't really like, so I'm sure that they're good. But I don't use pastels, so I can't, besides pan pastels, so I really can't give you too much opinion on like how good it is. I would talk to an actual pastel artist. They're going to know a lot more than me and be able to give you way better opinions on it. All I can go by is I've yet to use anything from Faber-Castell I didn't like, so that's not helpful at all, other than, I don't know. Kelly said, a 12-pack of polychromos is $16.86 on Amazon, and a 24 set is under $30. There you go. That is what I would recommend you do. Anybody who is like, I want to get started, I don't want to spend a lot of money, get the 12 or even the 30-pack. I mean, that is... or the 24 set, that really is a good start, and you can mix just about anything from there. Does the 12 set come with white? I don't know. You may want to get an additional like a luminance white or drawing Chinese white, a wax-based white pencil I would recommend to use with that, but other than that, you're good. And it really is fairly inexpensive. I would rather somebody save up, whether it's birthday, Christmas money, whatever, get those than trying to get a fit, 150 set of a crap brand. You're going to learn way better on these, and these are going to be light fast. Buzz Art Painting, Drawing, and Gunpowder tutorial said, suggestions for packing material to transport large paintings to an art show in a very hot climate. 2 to 3 hour drive to the show. I'm afraid bubble wrap may melt the paintings. Put glassine in between. I've also put butcher paper in between. Make sure that you've got to watch, because you said they're acrylics. Let's see. Packing material transport. You didn't say what medium it is, but acrylics, especially depending on how hot it is in the car or the trunk or wherever you're storing it, that acrylic can start to melt. So I would, keep them in an air-conditioned area if you can, as much as possible. But I would probably not put bubble wrap straight on the canvas. Maybe glassine would be a better choice because that shouldn't stick to it. And then the butcher paper I've used before, as long as the painting is completely dry. That's an option. I typically keep mine, you guys, I have a video, if you look up like how I store canvases or Lachri store canvas, something like that, those keywords that should come up. But I've got these felt, this like kind of aqua colored felt that I made these pillowcases for that fit 2 canvases back to back, and that protects the paintings really well. That's how I transfer mine. And then within that, I'll either take a shrink wrap around like if I was transporting a bunch of them, or a big box that I can fit a bunch into. But I've had the best result with that of everything I've tried. That keeps me from scratching them, because I've had some of my big paintings that I spent like 40 hours on, like these big, huge paintings, big old scratch across the front. I can't sell it now. I could kind of repaint the sky, but the way it's painted, you're going to always be able to tell. So my mom has that painting, but it got knocked over and scratched. And so what I do now with the felt, like I just get big sheets of big rolls, actually, the whole bolt of felt. Is it felt is what it's called? I think that's the type of fabric I'm using at a fabric store, and just so like big squares. So it's basically like a big pillowcase, and slide that in there. That's worked really well for me. Diana said, can you gesso over a varnished canvas to reuse it? I don't know that I would. I don't know how well it'll stick. I mean, I know people do. I don't know that I would. One, I don't know that it's worth the trouble, depending on how expensive the canvas you bought was. But, I mean, once it's varnished, I pretty much leave it alone. That's just it for me. I'm not going to do touch-ups. I'm not going to do anything else on it. What water mister do you recommend? So many have heavy spray. I don't use a water mister. I use an airbrush. So, and you can use, I've got a link on, I don't have it in this, but if you go to my website and look at acrylic painting supplies, I do have the link or listed. It's a Badger hobby kit airbrush. So you hook it up to a can of air. It's like $30, $35 right around there. And that's what you can use. Or in my case, I just use my big airbrush since I already have the compressor. But I just use an airbrush to mist, because the sprayers, all of the sprayers, even the ones that are supposed to be fine mist, you'll randomly get heavy droplets that can cause more trouble than they're worth. Joseph Miller said, ask for a gift card for presents. You know, I don't like to ask people for gifts, though. I don't know. I just feel weird when people give me stuff. I feel like guilty, which is funny because I like to buy stuff for other people, but I always am like, please don't, I don't want you to spend your money on me. Like my mother-in-law is a big shopper. She's always been like, she's definitely an addict. I've never seen someone get high before. I mean, you hear people talk about it. She actually gets a high from shopping. It's the oddest thing to watch. Like, I mean, she gets so happy, but, she used to spend a lot of money, but she retired and she had to stop. And I'm like, now I just wish she wouldn't spend her money on me. I'd rather her spend it on herself. She doesn't have as much now that she's retired. Well, sort of retired. I think she just went back to work actually. But I just heard about that yesterday. So anyway, I just rather people spend, not like buy yourself stuff. I don't know. I don't want them to buy me anything. Like I feel weird like spending somebody else's money. Let's see. Deverd said, I will do that. Don't want any of my art, even cartoony art I have done in the past to fade. Yep. Those lower packs, I'm glad to see that they're that inexpensive. I should probably start linking that in the video descriptions because I talk about them often enough. Let's see. Whoops. Percy said, Faber-Castell pastels are great. Super pencils. You can do a lot of drawing with them in super ways. There you go. There's your recommendation for the Faber-Castell pastels. Kat said, do you have any suggestions for the best acrylic paint for fabrics? I don't paint on fabrics at all, so I can't give you any suggestions there. I'm sorry. Mary said, for your new house, you need to either create a gift registry at your favorite stores or tell everyone to gift you cards for your favorite stores and then tell your family. See, same thing. I don't want them to spend their money on me. I want them to buy their own stuff. Like, spend their money on themselves. I don't know. I feel so greedy asking people to spend their money on me. I just can't bring myself to do it. Like, even when we got married. Now, back when we got married, we got married in 2000. So that was before, there were gift registries, but they weren't as popular, I think, as they are now. But even then I couldn't do it. Like, I can't ask people for stuff. I don't know. It just feels so weird to me. Jody said, would parchment paper work between the work to protect it? I'm not positive on parchment paper. I've not tried that. I've tried butcher paper and I've tried glassine and then the felt, and those all worked. Carol said, have you ever used Bees Papers stippled paper? No, considering I can't even say it. I've not heard of it at all. I got a pad in my palette packs box with a bunch of graphite materials. No, I've not heard of that one. You'll have to let us know how you liked it. So just creating the wrinkles here, which I will come back through and define. I just want to start creating the texture for the wrinkles on him. We'll also get the lines in here. Now this reference photo doesn't pull his fin all the way down, so I'm just kind of inventing or making up where I want that to be. Mary Clark said, yes, but it gives them pleasure to gift to you. I know. Maybe I'm being selfish and telling them not to be. I don't want to be selfish. I don't know. Whoops. I think when I do the mural in the new house, I've got a really long entry hallway. I'm going to do like an 18-inch mural going all the way across it. It'll be a long mural, but just like a thin stripe. And it's going to be an ocean scene with like coral that fades to sea turtles and fish, and then like whales and dolphins out in the distance. But I think I'm going to live stream some of that too. I think that'll be a fun. I'll have to play around with getting that set up, but I think that would be a fun thing to do with you guys. Blue Tea Art said, how do you clean your brushes? I only have a jar and I can never keep them clean thoroughly. I have I don't know if you can see it. This is one of the water wells I'm using. There it is. Wrong camera. Water well that I'm using tonight. I also have a water well from Paint Puck, which is really good too. You can get those on Amazon. I really like both of these. Those, I rinse my brushes, and then when I'm done, if I really want to condition them and make them soft, there's a brush cleaner called the Old Masters, and that is my favorite. It's like a soap in a little container, and I just use warm water or room temperature water right around there, and then lather that up, and that's how I clean them when I really want them conditioned. Honestly, usually with acrylics, I'm a bit too lazy to even bother. I just buy new ones when they start to get damaged and use my damaged ones for different effects. So the damaged ones aren't getting wasted. Certain brushes just work differently when they're damaged, and I can't find like where I can just purchase them all the way like that. So I just am not super careful with mine. I used to use the brush cleaner, the Master's brush cleaner, every time I painted. I really am too lazy for that now. Mostly because I know that there's benefit and I'm going to like my damaged brushes too. So maybe I'm just giving myself excuses to be lazy. Artwork said, instead of getting gifts, just ask them to buy your paintings instead. Then you get the money that they were going to spend anyway, and they get something as well. The problem is with my family, they already get all my paintings. Like they already get whatever they want, so it doesn't really work out too well. Or at least my parents and my in-laws. Let's see. Eileen said, I'm starting light for a Shih Tzu. Do I start dark layering up to lightest color for what would be a good background so the dog shows up? I don't know what medium you're working in, so I can't really answer that. I would probably attack it differently depending on the medium. Melissa said, if they really want to give you something, you could suggest they make a donation to your favorite charity. Yeah. I don't know. I really want my in-laws to save their money, though. Yeah, I don't know. When I was younger, I used to, like, my mom, I would ask her for specific things that I wanted, whether it be Christmas or whatever. And we always got $100 every year. And then I got to where it was just better to ask for money so I could buy clothes. But now it's like I could actually, I moved past the starving artist stage, and I don't want to keep mooching off my mom. I'd like my mom to buy herself nice stuff. My mom's so bad. She's always bought stuff for me and my sister before herself, and now I don't want to spend her money on herself. Let's see. Carol said the stippled paper is a bumpy tooth, kind of like cross between cultured pressed paper and pastel matte. So far, it's been great to build up layers. That's interesting. Post, if you can, in one of our art groups. I'd love to see what it looks like when you're done. Zale said, I just arrived at the stream and thought the frame was your canvas and the background was your new camera setup. Wow, that's cool. I guess I'm doing it right then. That's really funny. I'm just going to cross this back and forth. And I'm going to be redefining all of this. All I'm doing is just getting a general idea of where everything is going to go. And none of these have to be exact. I'm not copying the reference photo exact at all. I just look at it as a guide for like when do these little areas get smaller or thicker or anything like that. Okay, we'll call that a start. Let's go back up and start working on his head now with colors. Whoops, wrong mouse. Alex says, I can be your charity. Kat said, what tips do you have for selling your art? Let's see. That's a really good question. It's a really in-depth question, so that can give you something to ramble on for a while. Let's see. Tips for selling your art. Well, first, I can give you, this is how I started. When I first started selling my art was before the internet was really much of a thing. or it was just getting started. It was in the late 90s. And I started by coffee shops. I did not sell anything in the coffee shops, but it was my first, getting my stuff exposed and hanging it on the wall, and I was really excited about it. And then after that, there was a small art gallery. So here's the thing when you're just getting started selling. Don't go to the big, famous, expensive, crazy nice art galleries. Go to galleries that focus on new artists, up and coming artists, because you don't have a name for yourself yet. And I'm assuming if you're asking how to sell your art, you probably don't have a name for yourself yet. So you want to try to find a gallery who really focuses on taking new artists. So that's going to be step one, or what I did first. Then eBay became a thing. And I started selling on there. And eBay was a big one for me because I got collectors that would come back. They found me on eBay. I had people that hired me for commissions because of that. And, buying other artwork that I posted on my website, in addition to having commissions done. So eBay was a really big one for me. I'm not sure I haven't tried to sell anything on eBay in a while. I should, just for an experiment to see what happens. But, anything I found back then anyway, this is all, by the way, before the economy really crashed. That definitely made a difference. Once that crashed, eBay also changed their policies or their pricing. And there was like this huge mass exodus where everyone stopped selling on eBay because it was too expensive. So that's when I stopped selling. And then they came back and they changed it. They realized they were not making money when no one will list because it's too expensive just to list. Even if it didn't sell, it was really expensive. So now they have a thing where if you do, I think, buy it now, or last I checked, this could have changed. So I apologize if my information is out of date. But the last I did sell on there, they had a thing where if you did a buy it now option, it could have an auction style, but also as long as it had buy it now on there, that their prices were way less, or it was free to list up to like 50 paintings. So you weren't out at anything if it didn't sell. And that is really, really good. And a lot of artists didn't like selling on eBay because they're like, well, they take a fee and all of this. And it's like, yeah, but if you sell in a gallery, a lot of galleries will take up to 50% of the income on the sale of a painting. So that's not necessarily, like, eBay's fees are not bad or unreasonable at all. I have no problem with that. But that was, when I was selling back then, and again, this is before the economy really crashed. What year? I don't even remember what year. The mid 2000s, somewhere around there, 2008. I don't know. When things started getting bad, and God, I can't even remember when years those were. That may have been earlier than that. But before that, I could sell things ranging between $50 to $150. I could sell. I went up much above that and things just didn't sell. And I don't know if that would still be the same thing with selling on eBay. That was just my experience back then. And this was a long time ago. But that would be, I think, a good way to get started. You can also, if you can advertise in different things, like for us, we're going to start, we need to work on building it. We've got to get our friends and family invited to the group. But over on MeWe, we have and that is linked in the video description. If you're unfamiliar with MeWe, you weren't here a couple weeks ago where I wouldn't shut up about it. But it's like Facebook when Facebook was good. They're not filtering content where you don't get to see what you want to see. Like if you follow a page, you can actually see the posts where you don't on Facebook anymore. So MeWe is a really good alternative. I'm hoping it takes over Facebook. I don't know if it will or not. I'm just hoping for it. But so many of us are sick of Facebook and the privacy issues and all of that. So over there, we're going to start a group for selling artwork. So that may be a good way to go. But I think to get started, if you've never really sold before, try eBay, see what you can do there. That can help. And one of the things you want to watch too when you're trying to sell, I've seen this a lot where people are like, well, people would tell me this too. My friends did, and they were trying to help, but they were also very wrong. Well, you should paint just landscapes because I do the surreal stuff. You should just do regular landscapes. More people will like it. You know what? When you try to do the same thing everybody else is doing, you get lost in the crowd because there are thousands of other artists doing the same simple landscape. Now, if that's what you're passionate about, then do landscapes. I'm not saying don't do that, but I wasn't passionate about it. And that would show in my work. I like the surreal stuff. I like stuff like this. My work is going to come out better when I'm doing stuff like this than if I'm doing just a landscape. And this sets me apart. Now I'm creating something no one else is creating just like this. Whereas if I do a landscape, I'm competing against so many people. I do something that is different than everyone else's. I don't have the same level of competition, and I'm more likely to get that sale. Same thing like pet portraits. People say, well, you should paint golden retrievers because there's so many golden retrievers. Yeah. And that increases the amount of artists doing golden retriever art. I kept doing Italian Greyhound art, and because not that many artists, there were only a handful of them doing it, I was more likely to get a sale on that than I was the golden retriever because I get lost in the crowd. There's too many people doing the golden retrievers. They're too common of a breed in that case. So those are, some tips there. Let's see. Whoops. Scrolling up. Eileen said, working on acrylic portrait of a dog. Okay, so and your question was how to blend, which layers to start. I personally would start with a mid-range. So with the Shih Tzu, let's say it's mostly like a dark gray and the white. I would start with a mid-tone gray and just work both light and dark, work both ways. I just layer until it starts looking good. I don't know that that's helpful, but that's how I do it. Kathy said, your rose stems look super real. Fabulous. Thank you. And you know what's so funny about those? I was so happy about how they came out, and they were so fast. They're pretty loose the way I painted them and the roses, and I really liked how I was excited about those for how little work I put into them. Robert said, where do you get your reference photos? The rose and the fish I took myself. The frame, I have that frame. It's a mirror, so I use that as a sample. And then the sea turtle came from Pixabay. I also get a lot of reference photos from wildlifereferencephotos.com, and then, of course, taking more of my own are some of my more common places to get them. Thanks, Aslan. Kelly says, Kelly said, this sea turtle is adorable. I think he needs a name. Uh-oh. Who knows what you guys will come up with now. It's been a while since you guys named one of my pieces. Let's see. Francina said, when using touch-up texture titanium white mixture, can you use OMS to blend colored pencils over that without messing anything up? You can, as long as you've sprayed the texture fixative first. So let's say I blended with powder blender, and then I try straight on top of the powder blender, blending with the OMS. It'll turn into a paste, which it doesn't ruin it. You can fix it, but it doesn't look good either. You have to fix it. So what you want to do is you've got everything on there. You blend it with powder blender, spray with the touch-up texture, or the texture fixative, the spray texture fixative. Spray it with that, let it dry, then you put more colored pencil on top. Now you can blend those with OMS, but you need that layer of that texture fixative to seal that first. I learned that the hard way. Starving Artist Collective said, have you thought of sales on eBay but don't have a reputation for Chinese knockoff and cheapies now, thinking it might damage a person's brand? Still give it a go. I don't think it'll hurt your brand at all, because your brand is you. Your brand is not, like YouTube. There's some horrible crap here on YouTube. I'm still going to use the platform. It doesn't have anything to do with me. And even with advertisements, sometimes advertisements come up. I've had people complain about that, I guess political ads came up before my video back during the last election, and people were mad about it. And I'm like, I didn't do it. I don't feel it hurts my brand. If somebody is so unaware of how branding works and how platforms work that they're offended that you're next to cheap Chinese knockoffs, or in my case, to political stuff or whatever, then they're probably not someone I want to deal with anyway, because they don't understand how the world works. But no, I do not worry about it hurting my brand at all. Scrolling back up. Caleb said, going back to that, the only thing that it kind of hurts is it can be sometimes a little bit hard. You get lost in the crowd. But as far as hurting your name, hurting your brand, that no. Caleb said, when you did your underwater background, which technique did you use to create the underwater ripples? Okay, so what I first did, I blended from the light blue, it's actually light blue and teal mixed together, down to this, the cobalt blue, which has violet mixed into it. So I shifted from the greenish blues down to the purplish blues. Did that first, and that went in the U shape. Once I got that base on there, these little ripples in there, I mixed a teal type color of a light. It was a few shades lighter than my background. I used actually this brush here and just painted in, I think it was this one, painted those ripples in, or maybe one slightly larger. And then when that dried, I took the turquoise or an aqua, do I have it over here? One of my aqua airbrush paints, airbrushed over it, and it pushed it back even further so it didn't look too harsh. And then I airbrushed the rays of light on top of it. Lynn thinks the turtle's name should be Chuckles. I don't know why that name creeps me out. It makes me think of those creepy dolls that attack people in movies. Or I'm thinking Chucky. I don't know. The name Chuckles, there's something about it, like clowns or something. I don't know. We need another one. Different name. Do you guys have names that you hear and you associate it with something totally random that has nothing to do with that name? Or am I just crazy? Both things. I guess I could be crazy and you could also do that at the same time, though. So both could be possible or true at the same time. Here, I don't care at all what my colors are All of this is going to be adjusted later on. All I really care about is like just starting to build up detail. Like, or texture, I guess, is a better way to word that. It's not really detail. And I'm just going to keep layering until he looks how I want him to. And there are going to be a lot of ugly layers on the way of getting there. Whenever you're painting and you get to those stages where you have those really ugly layers, don't do, like, people give up too soon. And I used to see this when I would teach in person all the time. People would get frustrated, and it's like, no, it's supposed to look bad right now. I'd be more concerned if it looked good at this stage, that you weren't going to make it look good later on. Pamela Green says, George. George works. Speedy sounds good. Let's see. Meek said, how does a person transfer from black and white to color? Is it just values with hues? Do I need to find a book? You experiment and you practice. There's no like magic trick. If you're good with values in black and white, when you go to color, it's just going to be that much easier. But there's no, I mean, I'm sure there's books that are good. I really like, what is it? James Gurney's Color and Light book. That one's really good. But it was helpful, but it's not like I have to have that to learn how to do this. You know how you learn? You practice. You get started with color. And I know that's not the answer people want. People want like a magic trick, and there isn't one. I mean, it'd be great if there was. I'd love to give you guys secrets. Those are always fun to share, but there aren't any. I don't know why, but he looks like a Melvin to me, Ariel said. Jesse said, or we can name him Tommy the Turtle. Trinity the Turtle. Morty, Howard is good. I like Howard because my best friend growing up, her dad's name was Howard. So that has that positive, like, memory. The Turtle is definitely a Dave dude. Oh my gosh. I think Oswald, another Timmy the Turtle. I don't even remember. What was the octopus? You guys named the octopus too. I don't even remember what you named him. We're lucky when I remember my own name, so it's not surprising I don't remember. Okay, so now this is blocked in enough. I'm going to go ahead and stop with the just being messy, and I'm going to start working on cleaning actual details up. Good name is Shelly. Turtle's name should be Joseph. Now, when you're washing your brushes, someone had asked earlier, I had actually, I'll put it on there intentionally so you can see, and I'll just clean it again. When you've got paint up here, when you rinse it in your water, the paint up at the edge doesn't always come up. And I don't know if you can see where it's built up right around the edge. I'm just going to take a paper towel and wipe that off. That is the best way to get that off, and then I'll rinse it again in the cup. Ideally, when you're painting, if you can keep the paint away from the handle up there, that is better. But just take your paper towel. If it's not coming off in your water, take that off and wipe that off as much as you can. You don't want to leave the paint sitting up here. That starts to harden, and that's what makes your bristles fray out like this. Kelly said she has a fond memory of someone named Howard, too. She says go with that. Sir Scooter was the octopus's name. That's right. Zale says he looks like Play-Doh. I think that to come up with a name, you guys need to come up with a story to go with the name on why he was named that. I mean, just to make it interesting and random. Okay, so I'm going to actually start with I, just because that's fun. Definitely need more water. That black is starting to dry out. So when I start painting like this, I like to block everything in loosely, and then like it just gives me a little bit more to go with. And now I'm going to come through one little section at a time and really focus on that, just that section. Just kind of making a muddy dark color here. I can glaze over it because I don't think this will be dark enough. Oh no, it is dark enough. It actually may be too dark. I want to barely be able to see the hint of the pupil in the eye. It was so cool. We went to an aquarium that's actually like walking distance from my house. And they had sea turtles that they rescue and rehabilitate. And it was so cool to see up close, to see like the detail in the eye. I'd never seen one that close before in person. That was really neat to see that kind of detail. CK said, name him Ustase? I don't know how to say that. Like the Ustase who fell through a picture frame in the Narnia stories. I don't know what that name or how to say that, but I like that idea. That is cool. Heather said, instead of a man named Sue, it's a turtle called Sheldon. Teresa said, Seymour would be a great name. I'm going to take some unbleached titanium white. Or not unbleached, I'm sorry, transparent mixing white. Just lighten up a little bit around that iris there. We're going to give him a bit more detail than I have before now that I've seen one of these guys in person. Rick's Artwork said, I was talking with the owner of a bird store about my bird art for a commission. She said, make sure I do an African gray to stand out. Nobody draws them because they aren't colorful. Yeah, and it's funny because they make beautiful art pieces. That striking red tail, I don't know why more people wouldn't paint grays, because they are striking. Like that contrast between the black and the white and then that splash of red is beautiful. Angela said, I really love these art chats. I have come to look forward to them in the middle of my week. Well, that's good to hear. Occasionally I get somebody who complains that I don't do enough art. I talk too much and there's not enough art. Well, that's why I put art chat really big in the description. Let's see. Zale said, were you working on this same time as the graphite girl? No, I just started this. I painted the background. What day did I paint the background? I painted the background that solid gray a few days ago. And then not last night or yesterday, the night before. So what day was that? Monday night is when I painted. So I started with Monday night. I had just the gray canvas, and then I painted the background, the shelf, and started to kind of blocked in the frame. And then yesterday, I got so much done yesterday. I got the whole inside of the frame finished, the roses, and the clownfish. So it's been a couple nights worth of work. I just started this one. It's going really smoothly though, so that's good. Ustase. I still am not getting that right on how to say that. I neither can read or pronounce things right, so I'm just going to fail no matter how much I try that one. Eustace. Somebody else said. Eustace. Eustace or Eustace? I don't know. I'm just making a fool of myself. Let's see. Calypso is the one fin rescued sea turtle. Oh, did you at the Grapevine aquarium? Is it the same place that you went? Although wait, no, he had two fins. He was missing his back fins. The one I saw. Or at least when I was there. Let's see. Whoops, that scrolled too far. Crystal said, I can totally relate to wanting to give up. I've been trying out acrylic painting and my paintings have been looking like crap. See, and that's normal though. It's not that you're not good at it. It's not that you're not going to be good at it. When you start a paint, look at this. This looks good. This looks terrible. It's going to look great when I'm done. But you have to know that you've got to keep layering and keep working on it. And that's the biggest thing, to get used to the idea of work on it till it looks good. If it looks bad, it's only because you're not done yet. Finish it. Like keep working on it until it does look good. And it will get easier with time. That's another thing to keep in mind. The more you paint, the faster you're going to get better. But you've got to make some really ugly paintings in the meantime. That's normal. Let's see. Titled Gardens. Oh, hi, Than. Said, how is my new house coming along? You know, I was just thinking about you. I need to ship you your cat coral painting. I don't think I made the full YouTube video on that yet. I know, I'm so behind, but I need to ship you that and the other coral. The colored pencil one I did. Seriously, like a couple hours ago, I was just thinking about that. But it's going really, really well. Way too fast, actually. Faster than I thought it would. So, and then today I was just telling everybody about that earlier. They, the loan approval went through, which I always worry about, not because like we're completely under budget. Like didn't want to be, what do they call it? House poor, where you get like at the top of your budget. So I went way under what we're supposed to be able to get. But because I'm self-employed, I worried about that with the loan. But that finally went through. Today I got the notification on that. And then, what am I working on? I need a shadow. The update, they're going to start putting shingles on our roof this week. And we have to have a meeting. We have to go down there with the builder for a meeting for something or another while I don't know, I forget what it was. Although he said he wanted to do it on Thursday, which I can't do. So, but yeah, moral of the story, it's going amazingly well. Well, amazingly fast anyway. Let's see. Whoops. There we go. Elaine. Whoops. And I scrolled too far. Where did it go? Here we go. Elaine said, I love the art chats being able to ask questions live. It's fun, huh? I feel like it's funny because normally I don't like to be in a room that's quiet. I would not be able to paint. It is silent in here. All I can hear is the air conditioner. Wouldn't be able to do it. I have to have noise. But when I paint with you, like every time I get it ready for the live stream and it's totally silent in here, I'm like, it feels wrong. I wish I could listen to music or something. But once we start talking, I felt like you guys are in the room with me, which is so cool. So much fun. Let's see. Blue Tea Art. How do you paint fur? I'm so confused. Practice. Break it down into one small section. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're trying to paint fur is they try to do everything at once. Like all these brush strokes everywhere, all over the place, and it's just a hot mess. Break it down into like 1 square inch. Look at your reference photo and really copy what you see. Look at the clumps and clusters of fur. Don't try to go in and paint like random individual fur lines, like individual hairs. Won't look good. Look at the clumps and clusters of fur in your reference photo. So there's some tips for you. I mean, there's more to it than that you can't really explain easily. If you look up any of my past videos, any of the animals, I show you how I'm breaking up the fur. Let's see. Crystal said it's okay. Eustace. I'm not going to remember any of that. I don't remember my own name most of the time. How many times have I said that tonight? Thanks, Draweth Nash. Brent said, how do you come up with your ideas for surrealism? Wanting to do something with my students, I really don't do any surrealism. So it's just a collage. It is a simple collage. So with students, one of the things you can do, if you've got like magazines, you're going to run into copyright things, but I think you get away with doing it if you're teaching. I don't know. I don't want to give you bad advice. Oh, here's a way you could do it. Go to Pixabay, get a bunch of photos of different things and have them cut it out and put it together in a collage, like tape it to a board and then paint that thing or draw that thing. But that's all I'm doing. Different elements. I know I want a wallpaper. I know I want a shelf. Those were requested. This will also have the Aquashella logo on it off to the side here. I knew I wanted flowers. I knew I wanted a fish. So I went and found my picture of where's my little clownfish? Than from Tidal Garden's favorite kind of fish. My little clownfish, I got him, took a photo of him with my, some dried roses I had. I mean, you just find different elements and throw them together. It is that simple. That's how I do it. I'm not saying that's how everyone does it, because some people might actually have meaning in their work, and mine's just like, I just want to paint a pretty picture. But that's the way that I do it. Turlo the Turtle. Gail said, Dr. Seuss, Yertle the Turtle. I just saying that make me laugh. Yertle the Turtle. That sounds like something I would name like my bird. Nick said, for some of us who live in the boonies, this art chat is the only art chat we get. Brooke said, names Mortimer the Turtle and his fish friend Vilnius. Vilnius, did I say that right? That was hard to say. Mortimer the Turtle and his fish friend Vilnius. There, I think I got it. Okay, back to shading. I'm so easily distracted. Okay, so we've got a definite shadow here. I'm going to define that, and then I'm going to take another clean brush. I'm just going to smudge that down. Oops, too much water's on that clean brush. Just lightly smudge it. Did I use the spray for the background? Yes, I airbrushed the background with a stencil. And the stencil, this one came from Hobby Lobby years ago. I don't know if they still have this specific one, but that's where that came from. Van said, clownfish would shank you if they could. Don't trust them. You know, I'm actually really got, so I have a nano reef tank. It's like 13 gallons, which really only holds probably like 10 or 11 gallons. I'm super paranoid about like lotion on my skin or anything getting in there. So I wear these gloves when I do water changes, and my gloves come up to like here. So even if my clownfish bite me, I'm not going to feel it. But back when I used to have a reef tank years ago, so I'd been out of fish for years and years. I had one from like 95. Let me tell you, we did things different back then, but 95 till around 2005, so about 10 years. And then I got rid of that tank. And then now, as of January, I got back into it with this little nano tank. But those clownfish in my first tank, they bit me all the time when I would do water changes. So I would have to take a net and net them off to the side just so I could clean their tank. They were monsters. Mine, though, are the designer clowns. And I'm pretty sure designer clowns they're slow. There's definitely, they've proven to me there's some mental slowness going on there. I'm not sure if they'll be quite as aggressive with me as my true perks were. But, or the wild, back then they were wild caught. They weren't captive bred. My little black storm has a deformity over his mouth. He actually doesn't he has a hard time getting big food. Food he should be able to fit for his size, but because of that deformity. But I suspect that deformity reaches his brain. They're also young, though, so they may get they'll probably get nastier with time. But I've got gloves, so I'm set. The Swan Princess Speed, Gail, Kylie said, just wanted to say hi. Not drawing today, unfortunately. Got called to work today. Oh, no, but I'm goofing off a bit. Oops, can't miss the live. I can have a 2-hour lunch break, right? I give you permission for that 2-hour lunch break. I think it's necessary for your artistic health. Let's see. RCJ Painting said, Crushed Turtle and Marlin the Clownfish. Oh, yeah, we could go the Finding Nemo route. Draw with Nash said, I have a fish pond outside and my favorite koi. I love koi, but I don't want the responsibility. My parents used to keep koi in their pond. And I think one of the problems in California, though, it's too hot. So the fish were prone to having different diseases and stuff. They kept putting goldfish out there too, and I think it was just too warm for them. They don't do it. I think they have some feeder goldfish that got really big that they put in there now, but I definitely don't want that responsibility. They're so gorgeous, though. I'm so jealous of people who can keep them. Goldfish are one of my favorites too, but I just haven't wanted the responsibility, which is hilarious because I thought that a reef tank was easier than goldfish. I don't know. We don't try to figure me out. Starving Artist Collective said, you like aquatic pets. Have ever had a turtle or a tortoise? I had red-eared sliders when I was younger. I had them for about a year. They were in my bedroom, and they were actually causing way too much humidity in the room because it was a huge, huge tank. I had them, and then I found them a home with a girl I worked with at the animal hospital. But yeah, I did have those for a few years. I had rescued them from somebody. I think it must have been when I was working. I got them when I was working at Petco, and someone brought them in. One of them had an infection on his shell, so he had to have like peroxide. I don't remember. Don't go put peroxide on your turtles. I'm pretty sure that's what I used back then. I don't remember. I was following the experts' advice on healing up his skin, shell. Like, he wasn't under proper lights, whoever had him before, and then the other one I had was missing a fin. So they were my little rescue buddies. They just weren't a good fit for that size of a tank in a very small bedroom. Helen said, thought Shy Sheldon decided to reach out to meet Finley the clownfish. He, Sheldon the turtle, is giving her, Finley clownfish, the roses. They're now dating. Okay, that's a pretty good story, too. I knew asking you guys for stories would be a good idea. Lou said, I'm trying out oil painting after using acrylics for most of my life. Do you have any tips? Also, would it be too soon to try using acrylic underpainting? I would say learn to do oils first, just for a couple of paintings, just so you get the hang of it, and then go ahead and do the acrylic underpainting. But I think it's important for you, whenever you're doing mixed media, I think it's important to have, to have a good understanding of the benefits of each medium. Like, why would you need to know which areas you want to do an acrylic first, like how much detail you need to do before, let me start that over because it is not coming out right at all. You need to know the pros and cons, like, to each of the individual mediums before you start trying to mix them so that you can get the best of both worlds. If I don't know that acrylic, I can get detail easier in acrylic than I can in oils, then I may not do enough detail here, and then when I go on with oils, I realize, oh, it would have been easier if I had done it the other way around. If I know oils separately from acrylics really well first, do several paintings first, then it's easier to know, like, how much detail do I want done in the acrylics to save me time versus, if that makes, it's probably not making sense. My headache is still, apparently I have the same problems my Black Storm Clownfish does. But I'm definitely slow tonight. But I would do them separate first. As far as, let's see, tips, the big thing with oil is learning when to let it dry. When you start creating mud, that is a good sign. Why do I keep grabbing the light color? I don't need light. I need brown. That is a good sign that you need to stop, let it dry. In my case, I use liquid, so I only need to let it dry overnight. But let it dry and then come back the next day and work on the next layer. But what happens a lot of times with people, especially when you've been using acrylic for so long, you're used to, I just paint, take a hairdryer to it, and I can paint for hours and hours and hours and hours. With oils, you hit a point where it needs to dry before you do the next layer. And so that's the biggest thing with oils, is just when you start getting mud and things are blending too much, stop, let it dry. Flower Farm Artist said, my son keeps koi in my dad's house. In my dad's horse trough. It's huge. A koi and a horse trough. I thought I was reading that wrong for a minute. Merlin the Magnificent, Draw with Nash, says, we get a bunch of feeder fish for the pond and they've all got eaten. Only 3 are remaining. Yeah, my parents actually had a problem with a crane kept coming into their yard and they had put a lid over the pond, but the crane figured out how to get under it. And my dad was so upset when he came found it. And this was with the feeder fish, but he was like devastated to come home and see fish blood all over the place. I didn't realize they bled that much, but I guess it looked like a massacre. This crane that got the last of their fish. He was really upset. Helen said, stay tuned for the epic proposal video here on YouTube. Oh my gosh, Helen, you should seriously make a video of that. Vika said, would you buy the 120 count Faber-Castell from Amazon, or would you go through a local art seller to ensure quality and authenticity? It's a huge investment, and I don't trust third party. I don't blame you. There are so many fake products on Amazon, so many. So like with me, anything to do with electronics, anything like that, outside of like extension cords, I do not trust Amazon. It's a huge, huge problem with that platform. But I've not heard of anyone getting fakes with art supplies. So you might be okay. I bought my Karen Josh watercolor pencils from Amazon only because I couldn't find the same. I wanted the wood case and I couldn't find it anywhere except Amazon. No one had it. So that's why I bought them there. I've gotten a few things on Amazon. I've gotten some paper that was fine, like some Arches paper I got. I've gotten a few things that were okay. I don't know that there's a huge problem with those being fakes. I think that would be more effort than it was worth for someone to make fakes of those, but I don't know. I genuinely am not sure on that. But normally I get better prices, usually get better prices from like Dick Blick or Jerry's Artorama. So I always check there first, mainly because of the difference in price. Not because I'm as worried about fake art supplies, but I do get what you mean on something that expensive. So, but look at the reviews and see what people have said. If somebody's saying they're fakes in the reviews, obviously I wouldn't buy it, but I've not heard of it being a real issue with art supplies. Clarence said, last week when I stopped at Blick's to window shop and wound up walking out with brush and pencil products, I'm experimenting with them now. Make sure you use the right paper. Use sanded paper. You're going to get totally different results on sanded paper versus anything else. Let's see. Susan said, we had a fish pond down the bottom, fish pond, I think there's a typo there, down the bottom of our yard one year. We got a visit from a kingfisher that ate every goldfish and left since no long thanks for all the fish. Since left note, oh, there we go. I'm reading that wrong. Left no note, no long thanks for all the fish. Oh my gosh. I love birds, but they sure can be jerks. Yeah, I want to do a waterfall in the new house, or like I'm thinking a 3-tier whiskey barrel waterfall out under some trees. And I've got a lot of work to do because the backyard comes with grass and 1 tree. And I have a lot I want to do out there. But I want to do that, but I'm not going to do fish or anything like that. I might put some frog's bit out of my betas tank because that stuff grows so fast. And I'll just throw it out at the end of the season when it freezes because it gets so cold here. But I'm thinking about putting that in there, but that's about it for me on that one. I would be inside worrying constantly that something was out there eating the fish, even if they were feeders. Because I am a crazy person. So the brush that I'm using right now, this one is a number 2 synthetic hog-haired liner brush. These are the generic ones I get from Hobby Lobby. And I still need to see, I've got to find online where I can get something that's comparable. Okay, I'm going to take a bit of blue, thin that down with some water, get right over parts of the eye. It's not that I want him to have a blue eye, I just want that little bit of a tint over the brown, because it's kind of a gray eye. So shading. Jenna said, I bought all my Polychromos pencils on Amazon, no problem. I have heard of Amazon listings for fake micron liner pens, though. Oh, yeah, those I would worry, too. I think Copics might be one I would be really concerned with as well for fakes. Oops. Lou said, another question. I only bought black and white oil paint to save money. While trying out oil paint, do you think I should buy a raw umber to do the underpainting or use gray? I would just do black and white. Black and white, there's no reason not to just go with that. That's a really good way to learn any medium, is to start with black and white, because you're not worrying, you're worried about how to blend and how to mix and how to layer the medium instead of also what colors to choose. So black and white is, I would just stick with that for now. Get comfortable with that. That is a little too dark. Let's add some transparent mixing white. Start blocking in these little sections. Oops, need more water. That is too dry. And now too wet. Jeez. I'm like freaking Goldilocks here with my paintbrush. And if you found this reference photo over on Pixabay, well, it's reversed. It's flipping the other way on there, but you'll be able to see how very much I'm changing. I'm going for semi-close on like the details here. These guys do not need to be exact at all. Close is good enough. Now, if I were like, let's say I'm doing a pet portrait and the animal has certain stripes, or you know, I want to make sure that that is exact, because the owner wants it to look like their pet. But in this case, a wild animal, the turtle does not belong to anybody, so it doesn't need to be exact where somebody's going to notice or care. Diana said, still like the name Seymour. He is leaving his world to explore other worlds. It would make a great series of paintings. That's cute too. The Narnia ones really work. Too bad I don't know how to say the name, even though you guys spelled it for me. Sue said, just tuning in. Seriously, I wondered why you were painting on a canvas on a shelf. Took me a minute to realize the entire scene is your painting. Wonderful. You are not the first person to think that. That makes me happy. That must mean I'm doing this right. That's funny. Just creating a bit of texture, and I'll still be putting brush strokes and painting over this. Helen said, wow, his eyes looking I can't talk at all tonight. Lifelike. I can't wait to see the rest of him finish. Me either. I used to do a lot of marine life. That's all I painted. I mean, I actually was basically marketing myself back in the early 2000s, late 90s as a marine artist. That's all I did. But sea turtles have always been one of my favorites. They're so much fun to paint. And they're nice too because they're kind of sketchy looking. Like you don't have to have perfectly smooth blending, which is nice. You get to be lazy. Starbeat Artist Collective said, try it again. It's Eustace. Eustace? Did I get it? I won't remember. Draw with Dash said, have you tried digital drawing? Yeah, I actually have a sea turtle I started here on YouTube. I posted the finished one over on Instagram, and I don't remember where else, but yes. Eustace. I don't know. I actually need to watch the movies again, apparently. Rick's Artwork said, a local art store went out of business a few months ago, and I looked out. I got the 120 polychromo set for $60. Wow. 10 Frederick's Blue Label canvas for 60% off, and a $500 easel for $120. That is, I mean, it sucks that they went out of business, but yay for you. That is cool. It makes me sad that a lot of the smaller art supply stores, when they start going out of business, because I mean, we're only left with the big chains, and the big chains are so big now on only having their generic crap. Like Michaels and Hobby Lobby are both terrible. And I mean, I like Hobby Lobby's generic paintbrushes. Their paint's terrible. Their canvas terrible. Their canvases, Hobby Lobby's, were why I swore off anything but Frederick's. I tried several from other places too, so it wasn't just them, but they were a big reason why I was like, I'm done. I'm only working with Frederick's. And it was funny because about 6 months later, I don't even think it was that long, Frederick's contacted me for a sponsorship. I'm like, well, isn't that convenient? Because I already gave up everybody else, all the other canvases. But anyway, and Michael's is doing the same thing. Joann's got rid of most of their art supplies. I don't think they have much of anything anymore. And it sucks because we're really limited, especially when these companies decide, we're not going to carry the good stuff, just generic stuff. And it's like, sometimes generic stuff's okay, like the paintbrushes, and sometimes it's horrible. And so we end up having to buy things online. In order to get what I want, most of what I buy, I have to get online. I hardly get any art supplies from the local stores anymore. These brushes and then Liquitex Basics are about it. Except for if you're in the North Texas area, Azel's Art Supply, they do have Frederick's canvases. They're always 50% off. I think it's 50% off. So you can get a really good deal there. Crystal Renee Art said, I cannot choose the right surface to do my art on. First, I tried using powder blender on pastel mat. That won't work. Powder blender, only sanded paper, or if you gesso paper yourself, but even that, I've done a couple that way. I don't like it. Go with sanded paper. Anything else is not going to give you good results. And acrylic paintings on Strathmore acrylic paper, which has a rare texture. I don't like acrylics on paper at all. I only like it on canvas. And wood, sometimes if I gesso the wood, but even that I'm not a huge fan. I definitely prefer canvas. Donna said, if you screw up in pencil, can you fix it like how you can pretty much fix anything with acrylic paint? Would you need any supplies other than the pencil crayons themselves? You can, sort of. It depends on what the mistake is, but the easiest way, like here, if I screw something up with acrylic, I can paint it white and then paint over it. If I do that with colored pencils, the way I would do it is use Touch-Up Texture titanium white mixture, paint it white, and with that, and then go over it, the brush and pencil product. So that would be the easiest way, but it depends on what the mistake is. You can fix mistakes, not as easily as acrylic, though. Thanks, Sarah. CK said, I use McGrath's watercolor and can only get them locally at Blick's Art Supply. Blick's and Jerry's seem to be the better two for having other brands. But yeah, the Michaels and Hobby Lobby, I'm really disappointed to see them getting rid of a lot of the good stuff in place for their cheap crap, which is crap in so many cases. So I wish more of the local, the smaller art supply stores were still in business. There were a lot of them. I don't know if there still are in California, but I remember some in Hollywood we used to go to that had really cool stuff. But now you can only get that same stuff online. Really need to try Frederick's canvas. I've only painted on off-brand canvases. A lot of it with Frederick's too is the fact that it's not just that it's a nice surface to paint on, which it is. It depends on what, it's just a matter of which canvas type you get, because I can work on, like Hobby Lobby has their generic paint it's a smooth. It's similar, not as good, but similar to like the Frederick's Blue Label canvas. The problem with those, or my biggest problem, the reason that I swore them off, one, I kept getting canvases that would have like a waxy or an oil or something on it where the acrylics just wouldn't stick in spots. And I never, like, somebody screwed something up. And I don't think it was spilled at the store or somebody got something on it, because they're sealed in plastic. So there's something going on in their production line that was a problem. And then the other problem that I have is the stretcher bars. Oh my God, the warped stretcher bars. If they weren't warped when I bought them, they'd end up warped down the line. And I can't sell a painting. I'd have to frame it, because you can force it into being straight into a frame. But I'm spending my air compressor. I'm spending more money trying to get a canvas that, I saved $5 versus getting a good Frederick's that doesn't warp. But I had to spend $50 on a frame in order to be able to sell it, which I wouldn't have had to do on the Frederick's. So I was spending more for lesser quality in the end, just to make it so that I could sell that lesser quality. And the other problem I had, there were a few canvases I bought that I had put holes through. Never had that happen with Frederick's. So that was it was just not worth it anymore. But I mean, as far as like when it was working, the Hobby Lobby one that was smooth, the texture felt very similar. So it's not necessarily that you're going to notice a huge difference while you're painting. It's an issue of the quality long-term holding up that really was my like final straw on, I'm not doing this anymore with these cheap canvases. I'm only trusting Frederick's now. Dorothy Nash said, is tracing paper good for transferring drawings? Yes, that's what I do. I actually have this. I drew the turtle out. I drew the roses out. I drew the frame out. All that was drawn out on tracing paper. And then I used transfer paper to transfer it over so it was nice and clean. But yes. Transfer and tracing paper. I use the low Cornell transfer paper. Is the one that I like. Gail said, does Azel ship in the US? I don't know. They're not really set up for that, so I doubt you would get very good prices. I'm not sure it would be worth it. You can contact them. They have a website, but their website's terrible. They're a really small business. Yeah, and just a reminder for you guys, we've got MeWe, which is hopefully, I'm really hoping it takes over Facebook. I'm so sick of Facebook. Facebook is really being a problem for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. It's funny because it's like, people are leaving our platform. Let's see if we can make people more angry and more leave our platform by coming up with they just keep inventing ways to irritate everybody. But MeWe, links are in the description for my private private account, my page, our art group, and then I think I have it linked there. If not, I should add it. But we put together a group for artists to sell their artwork, but we need to get buyers to join first. So it'll take a while to get that really going. But I've got links in the video description. They're really big on your privacy. They're amazing. There are no advertisements, so that's a huge thing. There's just so many benefits to that. Links are in the description. Everyone should just check it out. Go join me there. I cannot talk. Gail said, this painting is bordering on Trompe Oeil. I almost went cross-eyed once when painting a mural of a fence with a lattice gate. Angela said, I love art supply shopping, but I can't do it. I can't do it all. Can you recommend some place to sell unused art supplies online? I have stuff I want to let go of. Thanks. Probably the Facebook Marketplace would work, or Craigslist. Robert, what kind of airbrush supply do you use? I use a Grex airbrush. This is what the airbrush itself looks like. I took the little grippy thing on the top. I hated that. And then the Grex air compressor. So it's like the full set that I'm using. Leandro said, I've just used colored pencils. I've just used colored pencils properly because of you. I did a small clownfish. I'm also adventuring myself with oils. Thank you for broadening my horizons. Oh, that's really cool to hear. I want to see. Post in the groups. I'd love to see what your work came out like. If you guys can hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already, all of that, share the video. It really helps. Even if you share it, if you're like, no one on my friends list likes art videos, it still helps me out so much because YouTube sees that and they're like, wow, people must like this video, we'll let more people see it because they kind of, just the way the YouTube algorithm works. And really for any YouTubers that you really like, if you want to help them out, one of the biggest things you could do is like the video, leave comments, and share the video. It really, really helps because then YouTube will share it with more people so more people can find us. But anytime with that engagement really helps. Serving Artist Collective said, should the buy sell group also include art supply sales? No, because that's not the goal. The goal for that group, I really want to draw in people who are interested in buying actual art. So I don't want to include that. I want to really keep it very focused on the one thing. But I would try, you can also try eBay. I've known of people who bought supplies on eBay as well, used supplies. Yes, that's a big one. Nick Edward, MeWe is also in chronological order with no ads. You can change your settings because sometimes one setting lets you put whenever there was a new comment on a post, that'll pop to the top. Or what I did, I have everything in chronological order. It's so nice. It's what Facebook used to be. So I'm a huge fan of it. I've been using it for a few weeks now, and I like it so much more than Facebook. The only reason I'm still using Facebook is too many people are still using Facebook. Like, too many other people are using it. So, that's pretty much it. If I didn't have that, if I didn't have to worry about that, like business-wise and stuff, I would just use MeWe. It's so much better. So I'm hoping more and more people use it. We can all just switch over. It's incredible how much better that platform is. Melissa said, I hope your headache improves. Thank you for your live stream. It feels like sitting and arting with wonderful friends. It does. Thank you, too. But yes, no, it does. It's so fun to me to sit and do these. Because it's not like I'm even painting alone. It's funny because I'm in a room by myself. It's silent. I hate being in quiet rooms. Ask anyone who knows me. If it is quiet, I either have to put on music or I will talk nonstop because I hate the silence. But sitting here with you guys, well, I guess I am sitting here talking nonstop, but it does. It feels like you guys are here with me. It's so much fun. I used to do my friends on what was it? I think it was Monday nights. A group of us would get together and paint. They could use my supplies or they brought their own. And we used to, this is back in California years ago, but they would just everyone just hang out and paint and have snacks and drink soda or whatever while we worked. Super healthy. But that was a lot of fun. It's always so fun to paint and draw with your friends. Lou said, I asked my friend about using generic brand oil paints from Michaels. She slapped it out of my hand in response. Good for your friend. I consider her a true friend for saving me the frustration. That is hilarious. Crystal said, I got my email today from Michaels saying they are the #1 choice for artists. I had a good laugh over that. I mean, I guess if you use the term artist loosely, like, we're the #1 choice for non-professional artists. I'll buy the brushes, like they're Simply Simmons brushes I get usually at Michaels. That's the main thing I buy there. That's funny. I mean, it's funny. The way statistics work, I always laugh when people, like, news is, like, giving you statistics on stuff. They omit a lot of information. Yeah, more people probably shop at Michaels than other art supply stores, but that's because they bought out and, like, closed down other art supply store. Like, there aren't a lot of options for people. It's not because people would, like them the best. They have the bigger buying power given how big they are. But given the option, a lot of people would rather go to anywhere else. I know I would. It's kind of funny. I mean, I'm glad for any art supply store being available, but it's frustrating when you see companies like that. Like, they used to have, the contrast, by the way, on the shell is going to be way too dark here. I'll go through and tone that way down and it'll push it farther back. But I'll probably end up doing that either by a glaze later or by airbrushing. But where was I going with that story? Oh, it's just the fact that we can't get quality. Like, they're trying to save money. They think people would rather have cheaper supplies. I'd rather have good supplies at a decent cost. I don't know. It's frustrating. Angela said, I just did a Google search, found a website for used and unused art supplies. Is it okay to post that here? I could send you a PM, but I don't want to break the rules. I'm not sure if it'll link on YouTube. You can post it. I'm not sure if it'll link. So I'm not positive on that. I mean, I'm okay with it. YouTube's weird about what they filter out, though. Sarah said, I don't know if you have an artist and craftsman supply. No, I've never even heard of it. I get Frederick's Green Label canvases there. They don't carry Liquitex Basics. They never have. Or they have a lot of good paint brands, though. That's cool. No, we don't. I've never even heard of that one. We don't have that here. Jesse said, didn't you say your husband could draw? You should get your husband to draw something. I know, actually. So one of the most recent Smart Art boxes that came, it's like a personal, like a fake tattoo type box where you draw out your design and then do the fake tattoos. I told Matt, I'm like, that would be so fun for us to both like do design, but not show each other. Like you can't see what the other person is drawing. Little fake tattoos for each other. He's so far telling me no. I think I can talk him into it eventually, though. I have a lot of Smart Art boxes to do in the meantime, so I've got some time to talk him into that, but I thought that would be a lot of fun. He doesn't ever want to be on my videos. Like, it's hard enough just to get him in a photograph. Like, I'll take photos of him sometime and have to promise, I'm only sending it to this person. I promise I won't post it online. Let's see. D. Lynn Creative Arts said, hello, I tried MeWe and didn't care for it. Sorry, but I'm sharing this video to help you out. Well, thank you. Whoops, scrolling down. Flower Farm Artist said, the turtle looks like a ghost. Yeah, he's a little weird looking right now. He's not at the pretty stage, that's for sure. Flower Farm Artist, I have 4 kids. I love silence. I could understand that. I have no kids, so I have almost too much silence. And so, when you work at home by yourself, it gets quiet. Well, chicken squawking, I have that. Cynthia said, I followed your link to the Fredericks. Have you used any other than the Belgian linen? And if so, how are they? So for this is a canvas board. I've used, this one's the Belgian linen, and then I used the, what is the other one called? Crap, I can't think of the name of it right now. Nature Core Paint Board, Mixed Media. That one's really nice too. That one has like a more dry finish. I like that better for if I'm doing a lot of airbrushing. That's my favorite canvas for that. It's a little bit dry. I don't know how to word it. Like the Belgian linen, the paint slips on more, whereas the other one, it sticks to a little bit more dryly, but it's super smooth. So I have to use a bit more water when I work on that one. It's kind of the like more practical difference that I noticed. I guess I can just keep blocking in the dark areas. I'll come back and clean up details later. Again, all of this will have to be lightened up on the shell. So what's happening right now, my values in his face that needs to feel like it's coming out at you are the exact same as the shell because I'm using the same colors. So once I get everything mostly blocked in, most of the details in, then I'm going to go through and start doing color correcting where I will push the shell back. I will make the color more of a faded blue so it looks like it's further in the distance. And then out here, I won't really have much of any blues. This will mostly be the browns and the creams and oranges and such. And what that does, in the same way, I'll pull more of the oranges that aren't on the reference photo, but I'm going to pull them into that. It'll make his face and this fin feel closer to the viewer. By using the blues, those cooler tones, I'm going to push the shell and that fin back. That's the other thing. Right now, this fin looks almost like an extended nose or an abscess or something crazy, which it won't. I'm going to tone that. That'll get pushed way back. So I need it to look like his head. I want the perspective to be that the head is coming forward. And I'm going to achieve that by using warmer colors, the cream colors, oranges, yellows, and then the cooler blues and such on and grays and that for the shell. Emily said, have you ever tried Winsor & Newton Gallery acrylics? They're Winsor & Newton student brand. I have some somewhere that I bought. If I remember correctly, they were a little bit glossier when they dried, which is why I didn't use them more. I like my acrylics to dry fairly flat. One, way easier to photograph. And I tend to paint with a lot of dark colors, and dark colors that have any gloss, forget getting a good photo of it. Oh my gosh, it's a pain. I mean, maybe not completely forget, you can do it, but it's a pain. So I definitely prefer them to be as flat as possible, and that's a big thing. Whereas the other ones that have too much of a gloss, the same Liquitex Heavy Body, Soft Body, they have more gloss than what I like. So that's why I definitely prefer these. I hear Nugget peeping there back there. He must be getting bored. Have I tried the I don't even know how to say that, burnt orange. I don't even know how to say the first word, so I'm going to go with no. Unless you mean, is it a color with Liquitex? I don't pay attention to the names. Nope, that's cadmium red light hue. I don't pay too much attention to the names of the paints. If the first word was a brand, I'm going to go with no. As far as a name of like Liquitex Basics, then I don't pay enough attention to the names to know. I just grab a color and see if I like it. If you guys are looking for more art friends and you want to share your MeWe, maybe we should get another post. I think we started it over on MeWe in the art group, which is linked in the description. If you guys want to share your own accounts there or over on Facebook to get more friends, like if you guys want to follow each other, it's fun to have friends to follow. I like that the best. But I actually like my art friends better than friends I know in real life, because the friends you know in real life are family. Like you get into, I don't know why they always seem to be the ones that share all the political crap, whereas my art friends usually don't. So I don't know. I like following art people better, but usually. But if you guys want to make a post to share accounts, so that it's just way more fun if you've got friends and somebody to talk to. The platform, and I think this is why a lot of people don't like or not a lot of people, but why some people aren't going to like the platform. If you don't have any friends or anyone to follow, nothing happens. So you need to get some accounts on there, people that you're following and communicating with, to make it more fun. Otherwise, it's really boring to be on a social media platform when you don't have anyone to talk to or to see posts from. But if you guys want to make a post, I think we did it last week too, but if you want to make another one to get more friends, you are welcome to do so. I had one creep so far message me on MeWe, and I accepted all of the friend requests because mostly it was art people following me. Well, apparently now you're getting, and we used to get this a lot. I haven't had it happen in a long time on Facebook, but I think they filtered a lot of that out. But the guy this guy messaged me with like, hello, and I didn't know who it was. I never responded. I don't typically respond to messages anyway. I don't even see them half the time. I don't have time. So he had said hello or something like, nice to meet you. Thanks for accepting my request, something like that. Didn't respond. A couple days later, he goes off on me. I thought we were friends. Why won't you talk to me? Or something like real snippy. And I was like, what the heck? So I did a Google reverse image search on his profile picture. It was like some obscure politician. It was not the politician. It was a fake account. Obviously, this guy went and took somebody's their political photograph of it was a small town somewhere that he just found this photo online. I could tell it was a photo he had stolen, just because that's not the type of photo people typically use as their profile pic. It was something from the politician's website, I'm sure. But I went and looked that up, and it was funny. I'm like, oh, we're already getting to the stage of creepy guys trying to hit on girls. Heck, for all I know, it was a creepy lady trying to hit on a girl because it was a fake photo. Who knows what it was? I'm sure if I would have talked to them shortly, they'd be asking for money, because that's usually how those things go, or gross pics. Using the transparent mixing white to start getting highlights here. But thank goodness for Google image search, reverse image search. If you don't have that, you probably should. Because it made it easy. Because I'm like, is this a follower, somebody who watches me on YouTube? Do I need to be polite, or what the heck? Nope, it was not. It was just a creepy dude that was or lady. I don't know. Let's see. Jesse said, do I click add contact or MeWe when I add you, or do I do something else? I have no idea, honestly. Probably add contact. Yeah, I think it's add, because I think they're called contacts, not friends on MeWe. Kelly said, my 6-year-old was asking how you make it come out of the painting. She was in awe when I explained it to her. She said, you're amazing. Aw. That's so cool. Hi to your 6-year-old. Kat said, my autistic daughter just saw your painting and she thought it was the coolest thing ever. That's cool. Gail said, just wondering, is MySpace a thing anymore? Technically, so I was actually just watching a documentary on that here on YouTube. Somebody made one on it, like kind of the fall of MySpace and why it fell and all of that stuff. They apparently had the opportunity to buy Facebook in the beginning and declined. Whoops. But anyway, yeah, it is still a thing. They're trying to make it more of a music-based thing. But it was really interesting. I'm trying to think of who the person was here that made the documentary. It's a YouTuber that has like over 1 million subscribers. It's a bigger channel, like Cold something. I don't know. It was really interesting though. The fall and why it fell and what they're trying to do with it. But yeah, they are technically a thing. By technical, I mean nobody uses it at all. Lynn said, I get creepy accounts all the time. Facebook, Instagram, and MeWe. I don't have time for creepy spammers. Yeah, that was the first one I got, luckily. I mean, normally I may get creepy messages more often. One of the things that Facebook did, and this may be why I don't get them on there anymore, if they're not a contact, like if they're not on my friends list, I don't even see the messages at all. They've got it filtered like separately, and I never look at those separate ones. Probably wise. And then on Instagram, it's the same thing. If they're not on your friends list, I don't even see that I get messages. It doesn't show up on my regular messages thing. So, which I don't check Instagram messages anyway, but I really don't see them. So that I probably get more creepy ones than I think I do. MeWe does not currently filter that. So, and because I've currently been like, yeah, I'm accepting everybody's friend requests, I'm going to be bound to get more creeps, unfortunately. You know, when I do the mural in my house in that long hallway, I'm going to do a turtle like this where I'm going to border it similar to this. So like maybe here and here have like a white border. And then I'm going to have a few fish like the turtle coming out, crossing the borders. I'm so excited for that. I can't wait to get started. Which is funny because I normally don't love murals. I definitely don't like painting them. And I'm all excited about this one. I just want this to be kind of sketchy and streaky here. Kind of like somebody's toenail that has toenail issues. That like grainy, almost like wood. Like that streaky look is what I'm going for. I probably just creeped half the people watching out. You'll never look at a sea turtle's face again, the same again. You're welcome. Lynn said, what paints will you use for the murals? Liquitex Basics. They work really well. So they have kind of a satin finish. The wall itself will be a matte finish. The actual paint, the light gray, it's almost white. It's so light. But the paints, I'm just going to use my Liquitex Basics. And I learned early on, I made this mistake in a bathroom once and had to go back and fix it. Don't seal it. I tried putting, or she wanted a seal. It wasn't that I wanted to do it. This lady wanted a heavy gloss seal over everything. I forget what sealant she picked out, but it peeled the paint. It caused this to actually peel off her wall. But no, anytime I've used just straight Liquitex Basic, nothing to seal it, never had a problem. And then I don't have to worry about it getting damaged anyway. I just paint it to fix it. So there will be no like varnish or anything on it. Which is also nice because at some point I'm going, you know, if we sell the house or whatever, I'd probably have to paint over it. If I've got a gloss varnish or something over it, I'm going to have to actually use a primer to prime that so that paint will stick on top. By not sealing it with anything, it's going to be easier to paint over when I eventually do. Gail said, by the way, Blake's gluten-free chicken pot pie was really good. I could have eaten two. They're not big enough. No, they're not. That is you are so right. That is one thing I feel like they're way too small. Pot pies may be one of the best things ever invented. Ever. My husband was going to buy me some the other night. I asked him to, and he said he would, but they've been out, and the last few times he's been to the store, they've been out too. So I'm still waiting for my pot pie. Michelle said, our chicken, Cockatiel, was throwing up today. Oh, no. So we had to take him to the vet. They're keeping him for at least a couple of days and had to run tests to see what's going on. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope he's okay. 1SGWW said, which drawer pastel boxes do you use for your colored pencils? They are from Jerry's Artorama. Just their 3-drawer pastel box. I think it's their generic one. They've given the best results. Also, please keep me updated on your chicken. I hope he's okay. Lynn said, awesome, good to know about not sealing the mural. It's been years since I did one. Yeah, and I don't know if I would do the same on any paint that I used, but the Liquitex Basics, when I've done those, I used Liquitex Basics on my mom. It was my old bedroom. They wouldn't let me paint the walls. I hate white walls. I've always hated white walls. They wouldn't let me paint my bedroom walls, anything when I was, growing up when I lived there. And then when I moved out, when I got married, that next, within a week or two, they had me over there painting an entire wall mural of a whale and dolphins and all of this. I'm like, really? You couldn't let me do it when I could enjoy it when I lived there? But it's been, I've been married now for 19 years next month, and the mural's been perfect condition. There has been no damage to it, nothing. And I think I used regular wall paint for the background water, but I went over it with my airbrush, with Createx airbrush. No, it wasn't Createx back then. What did I use? I think I just thinned out Liquitex Basics back then. And then my Liquitex Basics paints for the whales and dolphins and the fish and everything, totally fine. No problems on it. And that's, 19 years later. Ellen said, just curious, what's the largest painting you've ever done, and are they harder to do, especially in realism? The largest I did was it 2000? 99 or 2000. I did the background murals for the LA County Fair. They had a thing with dinosaurs. Some were dinosaurs, some were underwater stuff. But we did the background for that. And I forget, thousands of square feet. We had a team that were helping us. It was me and another artist were the main two doing it. And then we had a team that we kind of instructed and had to fix things up. I painted a lot of palm trees. That, I guess, would be the biggest. But the next besides that, I did just by myself, was a wall mural. It was a big wall. It was the wall itself, but it was a vaulted ceiling. We had a shelf, and then the vaulted ceiling. I had to use a ladder to get up to paint up to the. Oh my gosh, that was big. I don't know how many square feet that was. That was a big room, though. That was huge. It took months and months and months to finish. And then what else? Because originally it was just going to be one little wall, and then the more I painted, the more they wanted done. Well, can you do this wall too? Can you extend it over here? Can you do the ceiling too? We had another idea. Really nice people, but oh my gosh, that one took forever. They were really fun to hang out with. That was when I first started. When was that? That would have been around, gosh, I want to say 1998, 1999. So a long time ago. And then as far as on canvas, I want to say a 36 by 48 is probably the biggest canvas. But yeah, I mean, the bigger you go, it's easier to make something look more realistic because you've got more room. You can get more detail when you're working bigger. It's just that it's more physical work, getting up and down off ladders, and it's, it takes a lot longer. But as far as difficulty of making it look realistic, I would say, let's say you're trying to do something that's super, super realistic, like a portrait. You want to do hyperrealism where you can see all the pores in the skin and everything, go bigger. Bigger is going to be easier than trying to do that same work smaller, just because you've got room to get those details in there. But it is more time consuming, that's for sure. Let's see. Was I a child bride? No, I was not. I was 23 when we got married. Because you don't look old enough to be married in 19 years. Yeah, I see. We were talking about earlier, my camera is blurring my face. You can't even see all the wrinkles. It's awesome. It's like makeup, but better. But yeah, it's bad camera is why you can't see all the details in my face I'm using a laptop cam tonight. But no, we were both of us were 23 when we got married. I always remember my best friend's mom going, are you sure? Because she thought I was too young too. And I'm like, I'm absolutely certain. What's the point in waiting? I know this is the person I'm going to marry. We dated for 2 years before we got married. So it wasn't like a spur of the moment thing. The orange I'm using is super translucent, which is good for what I'm doing here. You guys will not believe the amount of detail this will be when I'm done. Like tonight, it's just kind of sketching in. It's fairly loose, the start of it. But this will all be like cleaned up and lots of detail by the time I'm done. Get some unbleached titanium white. I'm going to mix that with a bit of the orange. The reason that I'm going to use the unbleached titanium white is to make this more opaque so the orange stands out better. Yeah, Angela said high def is no modern woman's friend. So true. I know they looking at different cameras that get you more definition. I'm like, I don't want that on my face. That is a bad idea. That makes things worse. I don't want to see things that detailed. Even like my husband was really into the 4K stuff and what was this? He's using like 60 frame rate on the TV or something like that. I don't know. I think it makes everything look terrible. It shows you, like, it makes it obvious that too many sets are just that sets, not real. Whereas a movie that's not like things are not so clear. It looks better to me. I don't know. I don't want to see that much detail. I don't think it's a good thing. Definitely not on my face. Naomi said birds feed their young by throwing up food for them. Yeah, but if a bird is not, birds don't typically vomit otherwise. Like that's not unless he was actually feeding babies, which it didn't sound like in that case. That's not, I know I used to breed birds. I grew up with that. I know that. That they shouldn't just throw up. Like the only time I saw a bird throw up was when I was young and she got into my soda. Like I had Sprite or something and she took a drink. She threw that up, but yeah. The Art of Joseph Fisham said 2 years. I need longer to pick out. Let's see. Which paper am I currently using? I am not using paper. This is a canvas. It is linked in the video description. It is a Frederick's Belgian linen Nature Core paint board. Now, one thing I will say though, with these paint boards, I love them, but I don't know if I'm going to, where's that brush? Because I want to show this. I don't know if I'm going to keep using these ones on this size. I've had too many times. One painting I did, I dropped something heavy on it and it dented the side because it's like this plastic stuff inside that it can dent and I can't re-stretch. I don't know that I can re-stretch that because it's like almost like it's glued to it. I'm not sure on the actual details there. But on this one, these two of them, I don't know if it happened in storage or what. Let me see if I can get this so you guys can see. Hold on, let me get that. Okay, no, you can't really see it. It's not terrible, but there's an indent right here. It's actually, once it's framed, you're not going to notice it, so it's still worth using. And I'm just giving this to somebody. It's not a sale, so I can go ahead and do that. But I've had that too many times now where on the corner of the piece, it was damaged or dented in. And again, once it's framed, it's fine. But on these bigger ones, the small ones, I will still use the Nature Core paint boards. But I don't know if you're careful, they're fine. I'm not careful enough. And I keep damaging these ones. This is two of these I think when I ordered them, I don't know if it was in shipping or if it was, no, it couldn't have been in shipping because I would have caught that and returned it. But so I must have done it here and storing it. I've just damaged them over time, dropping them. If you drop them on the floor and it hits the corner and it indents that and I can't fix it. And so I've only had it happen on the bigger ones. So I think I'm going to stick to, I love these and I'll still use them, but I think I'm going to stick to them on smaller sizes. They seem to be less prone to having corners and stuff damaged. And like I said, a lot of it, I'm clumsy. And I think that in that case, it probably was me. Now, if you order one of these and it comes indented, return it. That is defective, or contact Frederick's or whatever, but don't just keep it. In my case, I've had this canvas for so long, I'm not sure when it was damaged, so I can't really return it. And I mean, I could just call Frederick's and they'll send me a new one, but I don't want to waste the canvas. It's still usable and it'll be fine once it's framed, which these are getting framed. But yeah, it's kind of I'm not sure if I want to say everyone should run out and buy this size. I need to ask Frederick's. Next time I talk to him, I'll email him and ask him about that. Like, does this is common or am I just really clumsy? I mean, I am really clumsy, but I'm not sure if this is a common thing that other people are having happen too. So I want to find out on that. Never had it happen on any other size, but the biggest ones. And I wonder if that's why they don't make them bigger than this. But yeah, I've had 3, this one The other one I found one of the corners is slightly bent in. Again, once it's framed, it won't matter. And then there was a cheetah that I did on one of these, and it was sitting in the corner, and I dropped something else on it, and it indented. And I'm like, crap. So I won't be selling that. But anyway, just for like, so you guys know, I don't know. A warning, be careful with them if you get this one. Let's see. Dylan Creative Art said, have you ever worried that you would mess up your art project? If so, how did you get past it? Stepping out of my comfort zone is intimidating. No, because here's the thing. Like, this is what I see happen a lot with students, especially, or newer artists too. They'll get to a point, they're proud of what they've done so far. Like maybe they get to this point and they're like, it looks good so far. I know it's not finished, but it's good so far. I'm afraid if I continue layering, I'm going to make it worse. I'm going to mess it up. Because right now it looks good. It's not finished, but it looks good. It's not finished. It doesn't matter. It's not finished. It doesn't matter if you mess it up because it's not finished. Like it's better to make something look worse in the process of finishing it. You're going to layer it and you'll fix any layers that come out bad, than to never finish it and you never progress. You don't get better in that case. You want to finish things. I would rather see somebody make an ugly painting that they finished than a half-done mediocre painting that isn't finished, because it's not good. It's not finished. It's not good yet anyway. So even if I mess it up, it doesn't matter. It wasn't good at this stage. So you want to keep layering and don't be afraid of the mistakes either. The mistakes have to happen. Mistakes are a part of the process. If you want to improve, you've got to make mistakes. Let's say you need to make 100 mistakes before you get to where you're doing good. Or a better example, I would say, maybe 100 mediocre or bad paintings before you start getting really good. Let's get those 100 paintings out of the way. I'm not saying that's how many it's going to take, usually a lot less than that. But get those bad ones out of the way. Don't be so, I think people expect early on things to be too good, and it's not realistic. My paintings when I started were crap. They were terrible. Some people liked them, but I mean, realistically, they were not what I'm doing today. And I knew that. It was okay. I was still proud of the progression. And at that point, I actually had this is as good as I'll get, but I didn't care because I enjoyed the process. So I was having fun. But you're not going to start out being as good as you'll end up getting, or as good as the next artist that's been painting for 20 years or whatever. Don't be afraid of making an ugly painting. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. That's a part of the process. You have to go through that to get to the end. And if you're getting hung up partway through the painting, you got to here and you're like, it looks good right now, but I'm afraid if I do something else, I'm going to mess it up. Mess what up? It's not done. It didn't matter if you messed it up. It's not done. It's not like I can sell this as it is. It's not done. Mess it up and learn from that, and layer on top of it till you make it look good. Especially if you're painting. It's a little bit harder with acrylics with colored pencil or graphite. It's harder to fix those mistakes. But even if you get them, there's a hair in my eye. But even if you get to where you've made a mistake, learn how to fix that as much as you can. You're going to learn so much more from that than just stopping and never finishing things. If you stop things, this hair is driving me insane. It's like tickling me. But if you aren't finishing it, you're not learning from it and you're not improving. So don't be afraid of those mistakes. Those mistakes need to happen. They're a good thing. Mistakes are good things. And especially if you learn how to fix those mistakes, you'll learn even faster. You will learn more from fixing a mistake than you will from doing it right in the first place. You'll learn why not to do things a certain way. But it's a really good thing. It's part of the process that you want to get over. Don't let that hold you back, this fear of mistakes. Mistakes are fine. I screw things up all the time. I have a line here I have to fix. I'll probably put a bubble or something there. I've got outlines here that I need to fix. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff on this thing. I'm looking for an eraser. I feel it, but I can't grab it because it's too far on the cup. Oh, here we go. It's got pencil shavings all over it. But, I mean, I have lines. I have all kinds of stuff that are technically screw-ups. Doesn't matter. I'll fix them. Don't be afraid of those mistakes. I used to tell my students, there's nothing you can do to your painting I can't fix. And you want to get to the point where you know how to fix those mistakes yourself, and you know how to fix them when you've made the mistake in the first place that you then had to learn how to fix. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing bad or wrong about making a mistake or screwing stuff up and getting paint where it doesn't go or whatever. You want to learn how to fix it. So, yeah. Anyway, don't be afraid of the mistakes. Just finish. Finish your work. Okay, answer a couple more questions. My back is angry at me again tonight. Let's see. So I am just about done. Where's the light dark merch? I still need to do that. I am so behind on everything. I need to get that done. Thank you for reminding me. I don't have a notepad. You may have to remind me again. I love that idea, and I need to do that soon. Okay. What kind of sandpaper do you use for your Inktense paper painting? I was watching you do a dolphin painting and got myself a tin. Oh, to rub the pencil on to mix. It's just the sandpaper blocks that you get at art supply stores. I don't think I have one over here. Wait, nope, that's a remote of something. Nope, not in the bucket. I must have moved them. But it's just, they're the regular art supply sandpaper. Really, any sandpaper would probably work. Like a 400 or a, no, probably go, yeah, probably about a 400 or a 300, 200 grit. I don't know. Any of that really would work. But I use the one in that video that you're seeing. It's just like art supply sandpaper block. Starving Artist Collective, in your new home, will we see some garden play and air paintings? I hope so. I spend, so like if I have a free few minutes before I go to sleep or whatever, when I'm trying to fall asleep, I spend my time on Pinterest. If you're following me on Pinterest, you'll see the ideas I have for my backyard. Because I keep pinning different things, like different landscape ideas. I know I want crepe myrtles, and I want the Mexican feather grass below it and some shrubs. So I want to kind of like make a design there. But I'm going to make the shrubs in little like balls, clusters of balls. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. So yes, there hopefully will be once I get everything planted, which will take a while. I have a lot of plans, so it's going to be a lot of work. Oh my gosh, lots of questions. Okay, I'm going to go through this really quickly so we can wrap up and I can stretch my back out. Pauline said, glad to hear about mistakes because I'm making a lot of them. That's a good thing. Mistakes are not a bad thing at all. The mistakes, I think, are awkward when we're showing people a painting and our family member looks at it and they're like, huh, that doesn't look very good. Don't show your family members then. If that's a thing, don't even show them until you're done with the painting. Because I've had that happen. My dad would come in the room and go, huh, that kind of looks like, what did he see? One thing he thought was a whale when it was a mermaid. I mean, we're talking, he was really far off. Me and my mom were looking at him like, really? It's not that bad. But, I mean, if that starts to discourage you and your family or friends, or you're worried about them seeing those ugly stages, don't post them. Don't share that stage then. Wait until you get a little further along. I do that, actually. A lot of times I'll be to an ugly stage on a painting and I want to post my update for the night on social media. And I'm like, too many people don't realize this is supposed to be ugly right now. I'm not even going to post it. So, yeah, that's one of the things I do. Do I approach manufacturers to review supplies, or they typically approach you? I see unboxing videos where artists receive products to review. Usually they approach me. I'm trying to think of a time I approached them. Nope, they approach me. I can't think of any that I've approached the art supply company themselves. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but no, I can't think of any. Everything, I'm like looking around at things that I've reviewed, and it's always been them contacting me to review them. Unless it's a video, like I always tell you guys, if it's something I bought myself. If I bought it myself, I had no contact with the company. I just did it. But other than that, if I'll tell you, I always tell you if they sent it to me, which is almost all the time. I don't think I've actually contacted them to do a review though. Like I'll just go buy it myself if they didn't contact me first. Scrolling down. Gail said, tonight was fun. Thanks, Lisa and the mods. Yeah, and make sure to check out our moderators' channels. They are linked in the video description. They both have art channels here on YouTube. Definitely want to subscribe and tell them thank you. They help me so much. Like, not even just here. All the moderators in our art groups, like, they do so much work, like, behind the scenes that you don't see with trying to get people's posts approved as quickly as possible and just keeping everything going smoothly. The moderators help so much. But definitely check out Joseph and Nick's channels. Good stuff. So yeah, I honestly thought the frame was sitting on a shelf. I just realized the whole piece was a painting. Wow, totally 3D. That is good to hear. That is really cool. And you are not the first person tonight to tell me that, which makes it even more exciting. Robert said, you should outline the turtle with invisible UV ink and use an additional black light to make it float out of the painting. So the problem with the UV stuff is it's not light fast. That's going to fade. It's not going to last. And so I don't use stuff that's not archival on my work. So yeah, that's why I don't do that. Okay. I am done for the night. My back is not happy with me. And that in my head, I'm just going to whine. I'm very whiny tonight. I need one of my bubbly waters. Okay. Yeah, we're done. I'll see you guys next week. I'm not sure what we're doing next week. This will definitely be done. This one will probably be finished. It'll definitely be done by Friday night. So I'll have updates for you on Instagram and MeWe, where you can see that. And yeah, we are done for tonight. Thank you so much for joining, and I will see you guys next week. I don't even know where the right mouse is to turn this off. Bye.